Okay, so haven't shot. All right, yeah, it's New Year's. Happy New Year's. So I was starting to think about for over a week. It was really hitting me that and so it's that kind of thing where an idea was in my mind. I was mulling it over. I got a little ill, but then events would happen that only and then some a video that almost was miraculous. I posted it to Discord about the Greeks, the classical Greeks, and what really they thought about homosexuality, like what we absolutely know they thought about it, like in writing, and not conjecture. And so one of the best parts about this was this person who made this video had to bring up, and the way I paraphrase it really is, and he actually didn't go here. He said that this person's scholarly work that has informed pretty much our entire concept that there was a whole lot of gay going on in the Greco-Roman world. That this whole thing that it came out of poor scholarship, and but what really he doesn't he is very dry about it. It was conjecture. It is like almost everything that when you look into Wiccans, feminists, and their understanding of the sacred, sexy, ancient, feminine way of that you always end up finding most of this is this weird form of Gnostic conjecture, like these people are informed sort of magically by just seeing archaeology done by somebody else. I encountered this a long time ago in art and architecture of ancient Latin America, and the people, it didn't sink in to people's minds. This is the guy who dug that up. You happen to be at City College of San Francisco, where City College of San Francisco is the kind of place where you would be that fortunate to encounter somebody like that they had that kind of clout as a city college. And that's how good that system was supposed to work. That you would really encounter an archaeologist in the archaeology class and department. This guy's, this is pretty much, the text is pretty much his career, and he's very dry about it. And there would be these conjectures about space-time manipulating Snake Man. Look, it's a space helmet, and that you'd have to get across to people like, no, you really don't understand. Whatever this was like this piece or that stele or that was unique. We have no idea who that was. We know nothing. We just have some ruins. This was one of the things that survived. It's similar but different than all the neighbors, and we'll never know. And I mean, there was so much for that it was just absolutely tragic, and that he had to then, people, oh my God, the conquistadors. He's like, no, all of this stuff was abandoned, like hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Before nobody even knew it was there. Like the Mayans themselves, who were still alive, speaking Mayan, did not know this stuff was there. The jungle just took it over. They had left because of warfare. Now we have a better idea. And I mean, at that time we didn't. We were still this deciphering of Mayans so that now people could read it. That's very recent, and so now that we know about it, like the warfare that was going on, and I mean, just like any civilizations. So suddenly this wasn't so mystical. This is why you don't hear people talking about the mystical Mayan, blah blah blah. They don't do that as much anymore because now we have an actual better sense of the history because we could read all this stuff found in these cities that nobody even knew was there. So, and that without a bunch of Germans, we wouldn't be able to read written Mayan and match it to spoken Mayan. But without a bunch of Germans, like literally 5 generations solid of German linguists who were the ones who did the deciphering, something crazy like that. So encountering this thing, I didn't know what it was when I was younger. I didn't really know the hippie dip. And eventually I kind of became rather hippie dip in a lot of ways, but there was still stuff that I'm like, no, okay, no. That there's a real good explanation for that, and people would, there'd be some hippie dip, you're trying to figure out, like, how to explain something rationally to this person who doesn't seem to be rational. And by the time I started to get into my 30s, after being in Eugene, Oregon and stuff, and really encountering, like, a culture of hippie dip, really encountering people who were anti-rational in a lot of ways. Not really bad. Relatively harmless, it seemed, but as long as they didn't have any effect on the world outside of that place, everything was fine. But that was key. I didn't know about Portlandia. I didn't really understand what was going on there. And so to see from sort of this enclave of super lefty hippie dip wokeism, that I was like, okay, no, more and more, like, this seems to be becoming kind of like this, the culture seems to be, for some reason, trying, like, something from this milieu of culture is bleeding super hard into popular culture in a way that it clashes with it. And the way that I was thinking about this was what was happening with the skinhead reggae movement. And so the Agrolites is a very good band to look up, and you look them up old to new, and you just won't believe it. You just won't believe what they were like when they were young, and to get to see kind of the arc of their career happen in this music that was, I mean, this whole wave of music that happened, that it was because of Tarantino movies and retro cool, and then trying to figure out how to make that again. And some people did it perfectly, and most people know about this through Amy Winehouse. She was a retro cool act. Gwen Stefani, no doubt's career had that quality a little to it. Like, people just aren't familiar with what Sublime and No Doubt were based around culturally, and skinhead culture, and the reggae that was seen as a part of skinhead culture, which is a cult of manhood, and that was it. That was the last. After that, when you see cults of manhood that started to pop up over about the last 20 years, the only other ones, martial artists, Jits boys, all the Jits boys. So I started to really think about a lot of this. This was all crunching, and how now popular culture is it's defeated in a way because there's no reason to court the women. So you might as well have your insular clan of men. So there's now, and society keeps shunning the clans of men that won't fundamentally, like, just kind of humiliate themselves in one way or another. typically through the poltroon. The poltroon, the eunuch, and the gelding. They won't accept the geldings. They won't accept the poltroons. They won't accept the eunuchs. And there is no way the left can win. There's no way they could do it, because what they're going up against is, at a certain stage they're getting caught. There's a stage at which you start to encounter a certain percentage of men that their natural tendency is to be able to pick out, this is what you're trying to do to me. And the resistance is always more effective. It's always, and one of the key reasons why is because the only way they could enforce this is by enforcing it through male violence. And the male violent, there's only two types of that. There's controlled or uncontrolled. And the controlled, they have to believe in enforcing that kind of control on the male population. They're vanishing. They're walking away. They're that end of men. They're like, oh, so you want me to take it up the ass from all these people when they feel like rioting, and you're going to blame me if I arrest somebody, and later. And what does this translate to? You want to fuck me up the ass because I'm a white police officer? Fuck you, N-words. I'm going to Idaho, and that's what I'm going to Nebraska. I'm going to Idaho. I'm going to these places that you can't survive in, because the welfare won't work, won't go as far there. What you need a reputation. You need people to like you, and you can't do that. And then the eunuchs, the geldings, the poltroons, the moon crickets, the heffalumps, butter huffers. And so we're really seeing, because there's these women who have truly, completely fallen for this kind of Neoplatonic cult of, oh, well, this is very, very cultural, and it's very, oh, I'm a snooty, oh, I'm so snooty, and I'm just so culture, because I think poltroons are inherently some kind of amazing thing. Look at this gelding, look at this haughty eunuch. Oh, look, a retarded girl who tells me I need to recycle. Oh my God. And that now we know feminism can't exist without the secret police enforcing it. Eunuchs, geldings, all the music acts at present. My whole argument about Lil Nas X is absolutely proven. It's now proven. There's no way back. No one can ever say it, because they know what's up. Black America now knows what's up. I love it. I just love it. Where finally somebody had their Professor Griff moment, and they didn't just Professor Griff. They Professor Griff, the sister soldier of the fucking Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson double Jaime Town, pick him up and dip him, and then go, put that on your bagel and eat it, you assholes. And then you're like, I think this guy might have an issue with Jews. And every black person had to be like, okay, how do we figure out how to come out of this, like, not having to go to synagogue, And it's like, no, take the trip. Take the trip. Ramat Gan is beautiful year round. Go, You take a short trip to Yad Vashem, bingo, bango, bongo, whole thing's done, photo, click, clack, click, clack, and then you hang out. You go to Nahria, you go to, there's all these great places. All these great places. You have a laffa, some schnitzel, great times, great times. Dance YMCA, they probably still do that there. Love that dance, I love that dance. And you're gonna dance. Oh, you N-word, you're gonna dance. This goddamn bastard, did you hear what he said? Oh yeah. Yeah, oh Charlemagne, you're gonna fucking dance. You're gonna dance those fucking Timberlands off. And everybody just wonderfully has towed the line. Towed the line in every way, and it's now just totally obvious that there's absolutely this, and the beauty of this is every so many generations this happens in the United States. We always forget this happens. There's this massive exposure of all, and it always involves the Times. It always involves the New York Times every time. It's great. Always involves like the Hearsts, or some group of press magnates. The East Coast hoity-toity bankers, and usually some German, some German getting a bunch of money to kick the shit out of Russia. I don't know why. Don't know why. It is like, get Russia. There's like this issue, like, I'm still trying to figure this one out. There's some issue. Get Russia. Get Ivan. We're gonna get Ivan. We're gonna get him. The chicks are, there's a lot of hot chicks, so I get it, But anyway, this year has shown women can't write. They can't write TV shows. When given literally a comic book to base everything on, where they don't have to do anything other than adapt it to a screenplay, can't do it. Even for women to write a woman who's an actual hero and it doesn't behave like a villain, can't do it. They just can't do it. The more poltroony, unicized, and gelded the males involved are, the more they can't do it either. They can't tell a story about a character who you empathize with in any way, shape, or form, who does some events. No, none of it. Nope. They can't do it. They've shown everybody. They've shown, like, okay, there was this massive effort by all these companies. They've been burning everyone's money. And it's this program to get those who are obviously untalented, or possibly untalented and mentally ill, because they're not just mentally ill people. They in some way, shape, or form, like, have some kind of set of skills that are related to entertainment, storytelling, journalism. Like Taylor Lorenz, she's one of these, She's fundamentally just not very talented, really. Otherwise she would get real stories, but she doesn't get real stories. And so it's just this, she's not just a lunatic. So in some way she had skills of some sort, but no real talent. Like, there's just something that's not there. She just didn't get the story. She's not one of those people who talks to other humans and networks and starts to find out, like, bit by bit how the story is put together. Like Harmeet Dillon is good at what she does. She appears to be completely mentally stable. And I believe Taken, because she's right of center, so and so of course she's Taken. But there's really now more and more just this thing of social media also giving everybody this understanding of, like, oh, you really are all butterhuffers and heffalumps and like nuttos and eunuchs and geldings and poltroons and just weirdos and like men who there's something fundamentally like you don't understand the fundamental biology of males, so you don't really and you don't understand the psyche of males. Like something has gone so wrong with your development as a boy into a man that you really don't get like why there's all these things about like discipline and stoicism and such that are so popular among men, you know, where to you it just seems, oh, that's so done. It's like, no, you're a hedonist, you're broken in every society since, and so this is really the thing. There is no such thing as civilization. Every society has a period of time it looks back on. Typically it's the fall of the Bronze Age, and they'll talk about places that existed then, and what's always the story, because they always achieved greatness, because bronze shit is around, you know. Of course people are like, whoa, and they go, no, that goes back to the and then one of the most famous is China. The Shang. It's under what was the Shang famous for? They were licentious, they sinned. So one of the things I was thinking about is the winter is here. The weave walkers must come, but you see what happened was God sent us a modern day prophet. They sent us a man who came with kindness, funky, fresh style, crispy, classy, and he understood and stayed on code. And he toldeth the women, we don't own you hoes. Only those of you who want to be owned by a man that you feel that you will and you have to respect, because it's duty. That only then will you not be one of the weed walkers when the winter occurs. And they laughed, but many women didn't laugh, and they took it seriously. But now, you see, God needed a player. He needed him. He needed him for something. You know, it's beyond what we can't know. We can't know the time nor the hour. So God took away the one who told you this was coming. And instead, what has happened? What has happened, all you hoes? To paraphrase Genghis Khan, if you hadn't sinned, your God would not have sent me to punish you. Or it might be heaven, because it might be the reference like Tunger for sky, like blue sky. The sky would not have sent me to punish you. And now Tate punishing you hoes. He's punishing all of you hoes. And this idea, Greta Thunberg's, and somebody wrote a retard's tweet. Somebody wrote that little retard's tweet, fuck you. It's just so old. It's just old. It's just old now. And it's like, no, why, you all don't get it. Now now punishment is here. What always happens on the internet? You have somebody who gives you an inkling, this is what the ass whooping is about to be like for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, while this person builds and builds and builds what they do up on the internet. And everybody on the left is falling off. Ethan Klein is like, I'm crazy, my dick is limp, I take drugs so I can not be a weirdo, I am the visual exemplar of what is wrong with the liberal poltroon, the liberal koan. you know, the people like, I mean, you know, now the Young Turks, there are just, I mean, they're literally now, there's no way around. You got money from the secret police. You had to have. You had to have taken money from the secret police. You had to have. It's just not, it doesn't work another way at this stage. There was too much money being thrown around now that we know. You know, it's just no, no. All your whole network doesn't make sense unless unless you got some of that dirty ass money from the party, from the secret, from the Biden White House, from the secret police, so that you could keep kicking all this shit and kicking up dust and making a fuss, you know, and now we see, you know, without these papers just inventing the value of all these writers like what's her face, Rubin. Oh, how can I? Yeah, that writer Rubin at the white Rubin, that woman Rubin at New York Times. There's now seeing Vice. That nobody even knows how little that they're going to have to get rid of that shit for. CNN might get sold. It was all bullshit. There was nothing there. They were no talents, and they were being propped up fundamentally by the FBI, the CIA, a whole list of spookies, glowies, shadies. And so Trump is making already a grave error, I think, is he's now. I know he held it culturally. It makes sense for Florida, for Trump. But maybe it's also he's done his duty in this regard. Celebrating with whatever organization, the log cabin Republicans celebrating, oh, now you could get married, and he has some big party, and I guess there's men in dresses and all kinds of outlandishness and poltrooniness and eunuch get-ups and gelding, disgusting, weird shit, and you know, but who knows? And there's a few things I had heard about, but the thing that he's not getting, there's just no purpose. There's nothing. It does nothing for him getting votes from the dragon. The dragon is a thing that sleeps. It prefers sleeping. And it sleeps on its wealth, on its bed of its wealth. And that's the voting, the real voting masses, the true voting mass. And that mass typically stays asleep. And the only way of riling this dragon up is he's got to start making it very clear. All this, the teachers' union's done. The federal education, it's over. It's over. All these state universities are going to have to make their money there however they make it. We're going to completely revamp the entire system of handing out money for research from the federal government. This is all being revamped, completely and totally, and also how much. And in this, he then revamps the entire concept of taxation. And it's just one of these things of you're gonna have to do this. You just gotta. It doesn't matter that and really a big thing that he's not getting is you want to promise a whole bunch of people that Social Security will be there. Why are you blowing smoke up people's asses? You really still think these are fucking rubes and bumpkins who don't understand there ain't no money there? You know, it's and that all it's obvious because it's one of these things of so how are we going to do it? Oh, by having some kind of digital currency. Oh, derp, oh, fucking boomer, whoa, you know, that's so fucking boomer, dude. You're wow, blowing my mind with your fucking boomer dumbass idea to keep the same fucking shit going. If it's not gold backed, it's not the future. It's just You have gold and silver and palladium backing and probably copper and some other things, and then of course you hypothecate that into a form of then a actual backed currency, and that you would be able to somewhere at some time get gold, silver, or palladium back from one of these various institutions, and there's and you regulate that they make sure they have their assets. Their assets have to be, there has to be a very strict thing with the assets. And this is probably why you would have to have it so decentralized. So you'd have state to state to state to state to state standards, and certain states would be where that would make the competition possible. But just me being able to think that through is obviously this is not what's going to happen. It's going to be something that's as boomer as hell, and it's because the idea of being fat, weak, and on the dole is now a normal idea of a classy, enlightened, college-educated generation of people who definitely didn't have their grades inflated. You know, their grades totally weren't inflated, so that's why we have so much assets and so much savings. That's why all these women don't need to go on the dole when they're old, because they were so brilliant and they delivered so much value to the market with their college educations. It's the end. Women have been completely felted. The women of the Western world felted. Absolutely just owned by themselves. They are literally like doing everything they can to ruin the world for their daughters. This is like one of the greatest lessons to young women and women in general. Like, no, really, older women will ruin everything. And act like, how dare you? How dare you say that I'm ruining everything? You need windmills. Okay, windmills are good and cars are bad, because I knew a guy once and he owned a car, you know. There was a man who spurned me, and he didn't put a ring on it. My fingers were way thinner then, and he had a really nice car, but he needed to understand windmills are better. He needed a windmill. Yeah. They can't deliver. And now there's all these men that, well, Elon's buying Substack. Substack and Twitter are merging. Very good work quartering. Great call. Great call. You nailed it. I've got to look into investing again. Because there's more that could come from this. Way more. Where Elon is taking this. So now he has the rockets. The rockets go into space. They need what? The satellite arrays, so that as they go further and further out into deep space, they could put out an array set of satellites so that it's easier for real-time communication through what? Twitter. What's the flamethrower for?